Hello and welcome back to the Cricket Nerds podcast. Can we start again because you
Did
were
you hear
rustling
that?
the mic?
Did you hear that? Yeah.
Cut me
Okay.
off.
There was also a thing that played in my ears.
Are we just going to start again?
Yeah.
Hello and welcome back to the Cricket Nerds podcast. Today I'm joined by Benji. James is still on holiday, having a lovely time in France, but he will be back on Saturday. So look forward to seeing him in a few videos' time. However, we're going to bring you today's game, which ended up being quite an easy win for the Delhi Capitals. They played the Rajasthan Royals, and let's get straight into it. So, Benj, Rajasthan Royals, they lost Butler early, their star man, and then a man called Ravichandran Ashwin came in at 3, which isn't the first time we've seen that this tournament, and played quite well. What did you make of that innings?
Excuse me. He just biffed it, didn't he? It was looking great. Like, Ashwin at 3. It's an interesting one because, like, I don't like him very much, but I have to put that behind me. But he's a player, and I think it's a tactic that Rajasthan have where if they lose an early wicket or if they lose a couple of early wickets of like a Joss Butler, for example, they'll put in Ashwin who can play a long innings. Like, because Ashwin isn't a number 7 who comes out and finishes. He's not a smash it around like somebody like Andre Russell or Marcus Stoinis or one of those players. He's a touch and field player, and once he gets in, he can start smashing it around a bit. I think Devdutt Padikkal, if he doesn't open up the innings, he will always come in at number 4. So Sanju Samson dropped himself down the order a bit to allow for Ashwin to come in, and he top scored. He did very well. I do think it was a shame that Van der Dussen got dropped down the order because he's looks really good in T20s, like in the T20 World Cup. I know it's a while ago now, but he didn't really look like getting out ever. And he could play a very similar role, sort of the Aidan Markram role that we see at Sunrisers. So it's interesting what Rajasthan are doing with their order. I do like the fact, though, that they've brought in Jaiswal again and they've brought in Devdutt Padikkal. Like, they're putting trust in these young players. Rain Parag too. They're putting trust in these young players, which allowed them to develop, and they're sort of investing in their future. But I mean, that was sort of the story of Rajasthan batting. I mean, what did you sort of make of the Delhi bowling?
I thought they bowled pretty well, especially toward the end, because when Rajasthan were at 107 or 14 overs, you're thinking they want to be aiming for that 180 mark, score about 70, 12 and over off the last 6 overs, especially with Rian Parag, who's doing well, Sanju Samson, who we know can strike a ball well. And I think they got their tactics wrong. They should have sent Rassi van der Dussen ahead of Samson, in my opinion. But the Delhi bowlers bowled well. Mitchell Marsh, he is a massive asset. I said it at the end of last video. You should all go and watch. But yeah, Mitchell Marsh is a massive asset to Delhi. He can bat well, as we've seen today, and he can bowl well. And throughout those middle overs and towards the death, he can bowl nice and tight, doesn't give much away, and picks up regular wickets. I think it's his height, which is quite awkward for batsmen to play. Chetan Sakaria, he looks really good with the new ball. To get rid of Joss Butler after pretty much putting him under pressure early on in the innings, that was really, really good from him. So all in all, a very tidy bowling performance. Only Axar Patel was really faced any tap. So yeah, good performance from the bowlers. And then we get to Delhi batting, and Mitchell Marsh's batting came to the fore as well.
Yeah,
scoring 89 and making what can be a tricky chase. 160 is never an easy score to chase. They made it look fairly easy, especially with David Warner. Now, Ben, you've already said you're not a fan of Ravi Ashwin. We also know that you're not a fan of David Warner. Thoughts on his 50?
Yeah, it's just Warner, in it. Like, he played second fiddle today. I think he played second fiddle to Mitch Marsh, which was the right move. He, needed to allow Mitch Marsh to play the other side and score that 89, striking at just over 140. So, I mean, Mitch Marsh played a blinder of an innings, and like you can't really fault him at all for that. And then Warner did his job correctly. I mean, those two know each other very well from playing for Australia. It's like that's their normal positions. Warner will open and Mitch Marsh will come in at number 3.
Yeah.
So they've practiced this time and time and again, and they know each other very well. And yeah, they made that chase look far too easy, far easier than it should have been. I think Yuvraj Chahal and Ashwin both got tapped today. I mean, Chahal got hit for 4 sixes. Still, off Chahal's 4 overs, he went for less runs than I went off my 3 overs this evening, which, you know, there's positives, there's negatives. My last shout out, though, as we just wrap up this sort of talk about the Delhi innings, was Rishabh Pant. Like, he came out and he, you know, hit 2 sixes and a single off 4 balls. Like, he only faced 1 dart. He looked pretty good, finishing off the game in style and, you know, doing what he needed to do as a captain. It looked like he's one of those emotion players, Rishabh Pant is, where if it goes well for him, he'll play well. But if there's something that's working against him, he'll suddenly like lose it and everything will go wrong for him.
Yeah, I think there were two interesting things that I picked up from what you've said. Firstly, just off Rishabh Pant, he obviously is doing well when he's not got the burden of captain. When he comes in with the game already won, he looks awesome, and I think he needs to play like that no matter what the situation is, even if he's got all the responsibility in the world. It's like when he plays for India, he just has a go and he has fun, and that's when we see the best of Rishabh Pant. And the other thing is, you mentioned David Warner and Mitchell Marsh playing in the positions that they play for Australia and knowing those well. And I think that's something that we're not seeing from other teams. Like, you take Rajasthan as an example, they put Rassi van der Dusen at 7. That is not Rassi van der Dusen's usual role. He's used to coming in at 4, 5, even 3 for South Africa. And I think as soon as you try and manufacture a position for a player, sometimes it comes off. Like, I think Butler started opening in the IPL in T20s, and other times it doesn't work. It doesn't come right. And I think that more often than not, you put your players in the positions which they know well, and that's what Delhi are doing. And Delhi are starting to come into form and doing well. So there we go.
Yeah. What it does do, I think, is it makes a very interesting table. So do you want to talk through what it's done to the table, Zach?
Yeah, so Rajasthan and RCB are both on 14 points from 12 games, sitting in 3rd and 4th. And just behind them, with a pretty healthy net run rate, is Delhi Capitals with 12 points. So they're only 1 game behind with 2 games to play. Now, if Delhi win both of their games, or even just one of those games, then it might put pressure on RCB and Rajasthan Royals. I feel like it's that situation where Delhi Capitals can kind of play their own way and try their best in every game, whereas Royal Challengers and Rajasthan Royals are going to be looking over their shoulder a bit. They're going to be a bit paranoid over the Delhi Capitals, and even teams like Sunrisers who are creeping up there as well. So definitely makes it very interesting. Makes it worrying for me as an RCB fan, because we know we like to choke. But what do you think as a neutral in this situation, with your team sadly not being really within a chance of qualifying? What's your thoughts? Who do you think could cause an upset?
Well, interesting you say that, because it is still mathematically possible for Chennai Super Kings to qualify. They are not out of the running yet. If Chennai win all 3 of their games, there's a chance. I mean, we need Gujarat and Lucknow to beat everyone, and we also need Delhi to lose, RCB to lose, we need everyone to beat. There's like a very, very long-winded way that Chennai can get in. It's like we need very certain people to beat certain people and also win all the last 3 of the games and get to that 14-point mark. We need to get to 14 points with a good net run rate, but like no one else can win more than 1 game of their last 3. So it's a very interesting way that Chennai get to the
complicated.
top. Yeah, but there is a way.
there is a way, and it's getting to that stage in the tournament. I don't know if I've told you this before, Ben, but every year it gets to about everyone's got 2 or 3 games left, and I just like put all the combinations into some form of calculator and see who is possible of winning.
Honestly, I'd love to see that for next video. But
yeah,
I think with the net run rate that Bangalore have got, it puts them in a bit of bother. I think Chennai are playing Mumbai tomorrow, so that'll get Chennai to 12 games played. Hopefully 5 wins, which will put us up to 10 points. If Chennai win tomorrow, Chennai jump up to 6th place. That's how tight it is.
Yeah.
If Chennai wins, and then it will depend on what happens in the Sunrisers Punjab game. They'll then take the 5th or 6th place spot, depending on their net run rate.
Now, I hope Chennai win tomorrow. My prediction is for a Chennai win because Dhoni's back as captain. I don't know. I just feel like and Gaikwad in form. I just feel like Chennai are in a better place than Mumbai currently. Although in the RCB Chennai game, which happened a few matches ago, Jadeja did sustain an injury, which has meant that he's now out for the rest of the tournament. He's missing the rest of the IPL. So it's not just a case of he's being dropped. Don't worry, Chennai fans. Jadeja's not been dropped. He's injured, which is obviously also not great news. But there we go. That's tomorrow's game. Cricket Nerds questions.
Woo!
I love that intro. It's great. So let's get into it. So we've got a message from Ricken Patel. Obviously,
hello, Ricken.
A massive fan of the show. We're a massive fan of him and his comments. Very analytical. And his question is, and I really enjoyed this question. He says, in a lot of the seasons, some teams are so clueless at times and just keep chopping and changing and pretty much give up midway. What rule would you implement to keep some of the teams at the bottom of the table accountable for their performances and make them care or be motivated to not want to finish bottom of the table? Could be anything, maybe affects them at the auction table money-wise. Very interesting question. So what is your thoughts of how we can motivate these teams like Mumbai sat toward the bottom of the table who've got no chance of qualifying? What can we do to motivate them to try and avoid being bottom of the table?
The issue with this is you can't really motivate someone from being bottom because every season somebody has to come last. And I don't think it's that Mumbai aren't trying, because they definitely are trying to win. It doesn't look like they've given up, but somebody always has to come last. And if you start penalising people for at the next year's auction, if they come last, chances are they're going to come last again. Because if they have less at the auction, then they can't get as good players. They've already got a bad team because they've come last. So you're just going to end up with the best players all being at the teams that win all the time, which I don't think is very fair. I think with having like 90 crore per team at the auction works really well, in my opinion.
So maybe
whether it like goes against like the players' match fees or the team get less. I don't know. They get something else that goes against, but like, yeah, taking away auction cash, I don't think is the way to do it. It's a difficult one. What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Monetary punishment, I guess, or monetary gain is the way to go. But that is kind of the way things are run at the moment. That's the way sports run. It's all about the money. So if there was to be an accountability, then it probably would be money related realistically. But whether it is right or realistic, I'm not sure. But there are other goals throughout the IPL. There's the Fair Play Award, the orange cap holder, the purple cap holder, the person who bowls the fastest delivery. So even those players who are in those teams that aren't going to qualify necessarily, they're still up for grabs to get certain awards. So throughout every game, there is something that you can do. If you bowl the fastest ball, you get an award. If you hit the most sixes, you get some money. So I think they have those things there to motivate the players anyway. But it's a very interesting question, and I do think that you're talking about these teams being clueless at times and just keep chopping and changing, pretty much give up and throw the ball to anyone or throw a bat at anyone. I think that is something which teams who struggle, they're just trying to find the right combination. I think we've said that teams like Delhi Capitals, for example, they're only just starting to find the right combination, and it's working, and it's taken them all tournament. So that's just, I think, look of your overseas player availability, etc., etc. So great question. Also, comment of the day comes from Human. We also love Human, so thank you for commenting. And he says, I'm kind of missing the cheerleaders, to be honest. That was half the charm of the IPL. Now, I don't know if the cheerleaders are not there because of COVID or what, but if they're removing cheerleaders for good, maybe when we get big, and we've got enough money, we'll fly over to India and we will be the cheerleaders in the IPL, me, Benji and Zach, to provide you with that entertainment for you.
Do you mean James? You're Zach.
Oh, I meant me, Benj and James. Yeah, there we go. I'm obviously very tired. So there we go. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, everyone. It's been a pleasure as always. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to comment. Leave your comments below. Leave your Cricket Nerds questions below so that you can hear that amazing introduction to Cricket Nerds questions. Also, listen to us on all your podcast sites, Anchor FM, Spotify, etc., etc., and turn the notification bell on so you can watch our videos as soon as they are released. And I believe that's everything. So have a good rest of your day. Have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.